with the Texas Homeschool Coalition. I had a couple specific bills that I wanted to go over with you guys. I gave you numbers last week for those of you who were here, House numbers on our parental rights bill and our the Tim Tebow bill that we're filing. A little background, I'll replow the same ground and re-explain those for those who weren't here. A little background on those two bills. The Tim Tebow bill, which has been passed in various forms in 30 other states at this point, allows homeschoolers to compete in UIL extracurricular activities in the school district that they live in which their tax dollars are already paying for, but they're not allowed to participate in Texas at the moment. We're in the minority now of states who don't allow that. And so we've been working on that for the last several sessions. We have the House bill filed by Representative Harold Dutton, actually, who's a senior Democrat from the Houston area. He works with us a lot on school choice issues. He's very willing to do that. In the Senate, on the Senate side, Senator Connie Burton, we just got a Senate bill number for that last week. The House bill number is 347 for that by Dutton, and the Senate bill number is 391 by Senator Burton. Wow, there are a lot of Burketts and Burtons. So that's the bill that we've been working on for the last several sessions. If you look up the filed language of that bill, it is not the language that we're actually going to be pushing. We're planning to present a committee substitute of that bill that is almost identical to the language that we passed out of the Senate last session. The changes that it makes are several-fold because the current language does not include very much accountability in the system because the way that it works, the way that it is listed in the language right now, a parent provides written verification to the school district that the student is passing the grades to meet the no pass, no play requirements so they can participate. And what we are including in the committee substitute, and which was passed out of the Senate last session, is a provision that for the first 6 weeks of competition, in order to mirror the way it works in the public school system, a student has to pass a national standardized test and get a passing grade on that test in order to compete in the first 6 weeks of competition. After that first 6 weeks, the parent's written verification, as for this public school student and the teacher's grade verification, is what determines their eligibility afterwards. We worked with UIL last session on that to craft the language to make it as similar as possible to the way it works in the public school system, and that changed language is what we're going to be using as the committee substitute. So just so that you guys know when you're looking at the language that there are changes that are going to be used in the committee. On the parental rights bill that we filed, the House bill number for that is by Representative Burkett, that's 524. And the Senate bill number is by Senator Donna Campbell, and that's 414. This is a bill that we've been working on, I want to say 4 sessions now, that allows, or the loophole that we are trying to close in the code, allows for the mother or father-in-law of a single parent in the state of Texas to sue that single parent for access to or possession of their child, and they could potentially receive that possession for an undefined period of time without having to provide evidence against the parent that they're actually unfit to raise their child. So they can have the child removed under temporary orders for an undefined period of time without having to prove that the parent is actually unfit in the first place. So the court may still presume that the parent is fit, but they remove the child anyway and place the child with the in-laws. It's usually a situation where there's some sort of bad blood between the mother or father-in-law and the single parent, and it usually ends up being a single mother. And I had a conversation last session with a single mother who came to our Capitol Days event, and when she realized what bill we were pushing, she left the event because she said that she was involved in a case right then where the grandparents had been suing them for over 5 years for access to one of their children, or 2 of their children actually. She left because she said that she gets phone calls from them every day threatening her and keeping her in line so that if she tries to push back, they'll come in and take their children. And already once at this point in the case, she had run out of money, which is typically how these cases end, and the grandparents had come in and told her that because she didn't have money to fight the case, she had a choice to make. She could either let them have custody of the son, or they would take both the son and the daughter, because she didn't have the money left to fight it. And so the position we took is we don't believe that your right as a parent to direct the care, control, and upbringing of your child should be dependent on how much money you have to defend yourself. So that mother ended up losing custody of one of her children because she had to give it up in order to maintain custody of the rest of her children. That's a loophole that we've been trying to close for several sessions now, and the main opponent that we've had on that is a group called the Family Law Foundation. The Family Law Foundation is representative of a lot of, not all of, but a lot of the family law attorneys in Texas, and the way that they, our assumption, I suppose, since you can never know someone's motivations completely, is that one of the reasons they oppose the language in our bill is because the people who get all the money from the cases who drag on for 3 or 4 or 5 years at a time are the family law attorneys, right? It doesn't exactly hurt them to have those cases allowed in Texas right now. And they filed a bill last session that would have expanded the loophole in law to allow for any parent in the state to be sued by any grandparent in the state. So it would have exponentially increased the number of lawsuits available. So the first session that we filed the bill, actually, as Tim says, at the first session they laughed at us, in the second session they were mad at us, and now they want to work with us because we've killed their bill every session so far. So that's an issue that we've been working on for a while. I'll actually give a quick plug for Empower Texans newsletter at the back. If you read the front page article for the newsletter that Empower Texans put out, you'll see an article about Representative Jimmy Don Aycock. And one of the bills that is mentioned in that article is a bill that Senator Donna Campbell is filing that allows for scholarships, basically, for students who come out of the public school system to private school because they're saving the state money by coming out. So one of the things that Representative Aycock has always opposed from a free market perspective is the concept of school choice. He's very opposed to school choice. That's the bill that Senator Campbell is filing is one of the things that we're probably going to be working with them on during the session. So you'll find us on a lot of different issues that aren't necessarily directly related to homeschooling, and they will always be from a parental rights perspective, if that's the case. So if things come up during the session that you guys feel are relevant to parental rights, that's the type of thing that we work on. So we always appreciate input from people on those issues and making sure that we're aware of all the issues that have come up. So, yes.
On the Tim Tebow issue, where you're going to agree on some kind of national or standardized test, how's that going to be selected to prevent the introduction of Common Core or other curriculum-forced issues?
It allows any national standardized test, so it doesn't limit it to one of a few. So the family gets to choose which test it is, and because a lot of families, a lot of homeschool families in particular are afraid of government regulations, so we chose a national standardized test so that the state government doesn't have the authority over the content of that test. So the family gets to choose the test, and they can take it anywhere they want. It doesn't even have to be in the public school.
Thank you so much, Pursuit. Thank you. Now, Jonathan Sines.